Hey guys, welcome back to Tech Pulse. It's been 10 years since Devialet released the original Devialet Phantom, and it was an absolutely mind-blowing speaker when it came out, still is to this day. Super compact, yet it sounds so powerful. However, Devialet have been busy in the background working on a brand new speaker, and that's now called the Devialet Phantom Ultimate. It got released a matter of 2 weeks ago, and thanks to the fantastic guys at Premium Sound, I've got one of them here to take a look at in today's video. There it is, looks absolutely mega. I know you've probably already noticed a colour change, but there's more to come in this video. We're going to take a look at what they've made differences to on the outside, what they've made differences to on the inside, and we'll talk about how it stacks up to the older generation of Phantom, including my own Phantom 2 98dB in the background there. So without further ado, let's take a look. So the vast majority of the more significant changes on the new Phantom Ultimate are on the inside, and we'll start at the back with the brand new redesigned power supply. Devialet have spent some time upgrading and tweaking the PSU inside the Phantom Ultimate to make it more efficient than the previous power supply system. This means it generates less heat and it also draws less power at idle, and obviously draws less power to create the same amount of listening volume. And to go hand in hand with that, powering and driving those speakers, is the analog digital hybrid amplifier. That's been technology which is featured specifically in Devialet products as it is patented to Devialet, but since the original release of the legacy Phantom 10 years ago. However, Devialet have upgraded that ADH technology to that of the newer Devialet products like the Devialet Astra amplifier. Again, it's just slightly more efficient, and that sandwich together of the analog and digital amplifier makes for fantastic listening performance and sound performance in your listening experience. You get the benefits and purity of an analog amplifier, but in the form factor and efficiency of a digital, more modern amplifier, hence the analog digital hybrid. And that drives these newly designed drivers even better than it did previously. And obviously on the inside, as I mentioned, the woofer suspension system has been changed, which utilizes more cabinet space and so on, better performance on the low end. However, there's also been changes made to the processing. The new Phantom Ultimate benefits from an upgraded processor, which is better for stability on both high-speed Wi-Fi and stereo pairs. The stereo stability on these brand new Phantom Ultimates is absolutely stellar. It's awesome, and that's thanks to that new chip. They're far more stable in stereo pairing, but they're also a lot faster to boot up and a lot more stable over Wi-Fi networks, as obviously the predominant methods of streaming to the Phantom are via Wi-Fi. There's two new streaming methods on that note: Google Cast and Tidal Connect. Tidal Connect being the more significant of the two, as the Phantom is a high-end audio product. It's aimed at those higher fidelity listeners, those audiophiles out there who inevitably will use a high-res streaming platform just like Tidal. However, AirPlay, Bluetooth, UPnP, Rune Ready, and Ethernet and optical all remain the same, and Spotify Connect. I personally use AirPlay, and I've noticed since having faster Wi-Fi installed, but also on this brand new Phantom, it is ever so slightly more stable. And in terms of boot up time, my Phantom 98 in the background there takes around 50 seconds from being off at the socket to boot up. This new Phantom Ultimate, a mere 20 seconds. Now, not that 50 seconds is a problem, but who complained at reduction in wait time to get to enjoy and listen at the Phantom? The main software improvement contributing to this new and improved user experience is the brand new revamped Devialet app. Now, this is the same app from the App Store, so if you've already got the Devialet app downloaded from previous Devialet speakers in a previous system, you won't have to re-download the app. It will still be on your phone, and it will just come in the form of an update. And the glory of this app is there's so much more functionality when using a brand new Phantom Ultimate model. Just like it was before, you've got that classic volume dial around the front there, but there's now a nice image of your Phantom model in the center there, and in this case it shows a 108 in that deep forest colorway, which is really nice. I've also tried this app on my personal Phantom 2 98dB, and that does bring up a photo in the middle. There's just none of the additional functionality which the Phantom Ultimate has built in. However, like I say, if you've got an older version of the Phantom, this new app style will still come on the update. You just won't have all the additional buttons. The additional buttons for the Ultimate models come along the bottom here. We've got movie, music and podcast. They're three different modes to focus the way that the Phantom changes its audio profile. Podcast obviously being heavily bass reduced and mostly voice focused. Music's a good all-round dynamic sound. Movie's a very powerful booming rumbling sound to give that extra dramatic movie effect. You've got the night mode button down the bottom here. Tapping that will reduce the bass significantly to create a bit of a quieter, more gentle listening atmosphere when using the Phantom at night. After all, if you've got neighbours, the Phantom is probably going to disturb them, especially at night, so make sure you don't get on their bad side. There's also a new 6-band equaliser in there as well with preset modes. We've got the flat default version, we've got dynamic, which is my personal favourite. It gives a little bit of a boost in the treble and the low end bass. Sounds really, really good, but it doesn't sacrifice the mid-range too much. There's clear, soft, and there's also the custom setting as well. We'll leave that in dynamic for now. At the bottom, of course, you can see your different input sources. Obviously, you've got the connectors at the top, optical, there's Bluetooth, and at the bottom here, the new ones, Tidal Connect and Google Cast. However, further functionality is also revealed when you jump into the settings. We've got obviously the buttons to create a stereo pair and also the naming of the Phantom, so you can change how it appears as something like an AirPlay device. You've got the audio modes in there as well, the same night mode. There's also a new thing called monitoring mode, which gives you a perfectly flat frequency response. It's a little bit different to the flat equalizer mode. It really takes away the bass, it boosts the mid a lot, but that is the signature of a flat response. There's the power mode, so always on, or you can set for automatic switch off. The LED status light, as there is one of those now on the top of the Phantom, you can toggle that on and off, so if you don't want them to be on, you want a bit of a cleaner look, even though it's on the back, you still can do so. There's the optical auto switch on there, so if you've got your Phantoms hooked up to a TV via optical, whenever you turn the TV on, the Phantoms will automatically go defaulting to playing your TV audio. That is super helpful. There's the latency control, so if you do have a bit of a weaker network, you can help improve the sync and the stability of the speakers, and you can also check things like your network status at the bottom here as well, and check that your network is nice and stable on your new Phantom Ultimate. Now, it is a shame that those new functions aren't available on the previous models of Phantom, but I guess Devialet have got to give several reasons to upgrade to a newer model. They don't want to upgrade the older model too much because that would differ from buying a newer model like the Phantom 98 and 108 Ultimates. But it's really nice that that app update is compatible in a certain sense with the older models, so if you do have one, you still can benefit from that newer and more user-friendly interface. And along with those additional methods of connection and that upgraded power and amplification system are also upgrades to the more DSP side of things, the sound processing, which allows the Phantom to sound just quite as good as it does. Number one being speaker active matching. That's been on the Phantom now since it was released. Speaker active matching is another patented Devialet technology which allows the amplifier system inside the Phantom to understand essentially the speakers that it's driving and get the absolute most out of them without a hint of distortion. When I say that, I mean you can crank this Phantom all the way up to 108 decibels and you will find not a hint of distortion, even at those incredible sound volume. It also means that there's zero noise, so when you listen to it super quiet, you won't get any hissing, no noise floor. It's a real pure listening experience. But the speaker active matching allows you to crank that Devialet Phantom all the way up to 100% volume. Those woofers will absolutely pound and they'll keep up all the way up to that top volume, but they won't distort. Speaker active matching essentially allows those speakers to perform as best as they can, but without pushing the limits too far. But talking of pushing the limits, there's also the heart-bass implosion technology, which contributes to those woofers that give that amazing heart-bass implosion. Essentially, it does suggest that you can feel the bass in your chest, and you really can, even more than the previous model. Those slimmer woofers, as I mentioned, are less stiff. They're also slimmer, which means there's more airspace inside, which means better and more bass. There's better bass performance and more physical impact from that bass at those higher volumes. And overall, the combination of brand new power supply and amplifier technology, newly designed drivers, and readjustments obviously to the heart-bass implosion and the SAM speaker active matching technology, the overall listening experience of the Phantom Ultimate is slightly better than that of the previous Phantom 108 model, and obviously on the respective 98 model, ever so slightly better as well. On the 98, the increase in listening experience purely comes from slight better clarity at really high listening volumes, but it's so marginal. So if you've got a previous 98 dB model, maybe stick to it. Instead of buying a newer one, get a second if you haven't already and go for a stereo pair. That's exactly what I'd like to do. But if you've got an older style legacy Phantom and want to upgrade to the Ultimate, that's where you go and see the difference. Especially if you're a stereo user and stereo enjoyer, you're going to notice better stability in the stereo pairs and a greater listening experience. However, that's enough talking from me. I think it's time that we actually take a listen at these two Phantoms and compare the Phantom 98, as that hasn't really changed, side by side to the 108 to help you gain a little bit of an idea of the differences at home and maybe even make an informed buying decision before you visit premiumsound.co.uk and choose which one you want, as I've actually found that for me, the 98 suits me better, as this is actually a little bit too powerful. So there you have it. If you want to have a listen to these Phantoms in a little bit more depth, I'm actually going to post some slightly different videos later on, which will be more in-depth sound tests between the two. And I'm also going to post a video taking a look at my Phantom when I get a chance to as well. But if you've enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the Tech Pulse YouTube channel if you haven't already. I know I upload only every once in a while, but when I do, it's always awesome technology just like this. And you can hold me to my word with that. And of course, if you want to make a purchase on a brand new Devialet Phantom Ultimate model, be it the 98 or the 108 DB, make sure you click the link in the description, visit Premium Sound and chat to the fantastic guys there. They can give you any further audio advice, answer any questions that I haven't answered in this video, or leave me a comment below and I will, and they'll make sure that you get the perfect Phantom for you and help you get started to get the most out of it and have the best listening experience. Christmas really is just around the corner if you think of it. Time is going very, very quickly, and the Phantom Ultimate could be the ultimate gift for someone you know and who loves audio this year. So make sure if you enjoyed this video, you hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Phantom Ultimate content in the future, and I'll see you in the next video.